6, Barrow 18, and Rochdale 16, Sheffield 38.
So that means the top four of Toronto, Featherstone, Toulouse and London are unchanged from last week. Leah back into 5th, with Halifax making up the top half. The bottom half is unchanged, other than Sheffield in 10th. They've gone level in points with Barrow and Dewsbury, who are in 9th and 8th respectively. So not much change in the standings this weekend there. Do you want to start taking us through the results from round 8 of League One?
Yep, North Wales beat Hemel 40 points to 16.
And Mark Butler said Crusaders needed a win after recently playing well but losing, and got one. They broke the Hemel line regularly in the first half and basically had the job done at the break. Hemel tightened up in the second half and drew the half, while Crusaders weren't quite so lively. Disappointing attendance of 215, and that and the West Wales score will end up in an Ian Lenniger dossier, I feel.
Yep. Then it was Workington 10, Oldham 32, and then the big one of York 144, West Wales 0.
Yeah, it breaks all the records, doesn't it? It's both a good and bad day for Blackpool Rugby League, because the record points conceded in a professional in quote marks game was held by the Blackpool Gladiators, who went down 142 points to I think 6 to Huddersfield in 1994, but they also had the record win when it was the Blackpool Panthers who were at home in Blackpool of 132-0 in League One when it was Championship One for this competition, until York destroyed all of those record books here and
in one fell sweep.
Yeah, I was at that 132-0 game against Gateshead Thunder, now Newcastle Thunder. And it was just craning, just watching breaks and breaks and breaks, and I'm guessing that's what it was like in this game, because it's kind of a try every couple of minutes or so. Cutthroat Jake said, "Oh my God, it can't have been much worse if the Raiders had just decided to stay at home instead. Do you think it was the ref's fault, winky face?" And Shoddy and Mungo said, "Well done to York, etc. But this result just shows the gulf between the top and the bottom of League One. I do think teams like West Wales and Hemel need to take a step back and rebuild before trying League One again." I mean, it's a talking point, so let's have a quick chat about it before we run through the other results, Sarah. What do you make of this and the impact it might have on these developing areas?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because, I mean, West Wales don't really look like they're going to pick up any points at all. And like we were saying earlier, they've got a steady stream of player turnover, and whether they are better to try and consolidate and build again and then, try again, or whether to stick at it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, knee-jerk calls for kind of like culling these teams from the competition. I think the one thing to sort of support that line of thinking, I suppose, is the West Wales club, which was the South Wales club, have been around for a while but not put down any firm roots, and they've consistently been barely scratching to put together any sort of competitive offering on the field, and it's a really sad thing to see, because we do need presence in Wales. I think there's talent down there, and we've seen that talent come through over the years into Super League, and I think there's there's a potential there that's not quite being tapped into correctly. I think what I'd criticise them for is never putting down roots anywhere, but what also I'd say you have to give them a chance of is doing that on this move, and it's just a balance of whether they've wasted too many chances, and maybe we do need to pull them out of that level to make the division more fair for everyone involved, really, including the club themselves, or whether we need to support them. I'd much more argue on the support them level, personally.
Yeah, it's really hard, isn't it? Because, people are talking about cutting the whole league loose, but then you look at York's performance against Catalans last week, and...
Well, there's lots of competitive games. I mean, Workington, Oldham and Keighley Whitehaven, we'll get to that one later on. Good games between established sides, and you can't just start like expansion with this negative results from these games when on the Saturday it was a great day for expansion with Toronto, Toulouse and London all winning handsomely against Heartland's clubs, whereas this result was the exact opposite of that. But the game I referenced before that I was at was Gateshead, which are now Newcastle. What at that stage they'd gone through I think about 10 games of that season and conceded on average over 50 points a game. So should we have just got rid of Gateshead at that stage? The 2 seasons before Blackpool Panthers pulled off that win, and also beat a higher division, and in that same season beat a higher division team in the Challenge Cup before investment fell out of the club, and there was lots of other off-field shenanigans that meant the club no longer existed. But 3 years before that, they were losing 100 points to nil in 3 or 4 games in a row. And should we have kicked them out? Well, if we've kicked them out, maybe Josh Charnley and people like that might have got loan deals elsewhere. But there was, you need other things for people to go to play at and other levels, and you need to try and engage fans from different areas, and you do need to try and do this. Whether we're always getting it right, clearly we're not. But I wouldn't say just cut someone off because they've had an embarrassing win and an awful start to the season, because there's clubs that have done that before that actually are now in much better footing. Yeah,
and I think you need to, we want all the clubs we can have to exist, don't we?
Exactly, yeah, I agree. Okay, shall we move on to the other results?
Yes. So it was Coventry 20, London 28. Yeah, London Scholars, that is, isn't it?
Yeah, Tim G Radio got in touch in this one. The ground announcer, obviously, as we know, down at Cov. He said, a frustrating afternoon for the Bears. However, they had themselves to blame for not making the most of their opportunities. Scholars used rough tactics throughout the game and deserved more than the single yellow card, especially for the late hit on Emanuele. 104-year-old Lamont Bryant also gave away lots of penalties unpunished. Had the Bears held the ball, then the result would certainly have gone the other way.
Yep. And it was Doncaster 6, Bradford 32.
Yeah, Karsten got in touch. Obviously, this one was streamed on Facebook by Proper Sport Bulls Live, and Karsten was watching along. He said, Bradford should have blown the Dons off the pitch, but no, Mr. Flanagan decided it's drop day, and he did it in the most disrespectful way. What an idiot. And Alan Kale Mungo said, the comedy cock-up by Flanagan shouldn't distract from the professional performance by the Bulls against a team with great defence so far this year. We just had too much class for the Dons to cope with, and this game was over as a contest by 50 minutes. I assume we've all now seen George Flanagan's showboating that ended in the right way for someone having that sort of attitude. He was stood up behind the sticks, celebrating his try, kind of goading a bit, and the winger came in from Doncaster and laid him out and pushed him in goal, and pushed him dead in goal, and no try was scored by George Flanagan, who went on to have a decent game after that. But quite a hilarious moment, wasn't it? It was. You reminded me of Ryan Lannon's.
Yes, the song. One last
season, where he got his comeuppance with an injury as well as not getting the try when he celebrated early there. That's great fun going through those sorts of things. And it didn't upset Bradford properly. Bradford's goal line defence was phenomenal in the first half, which kept Doncaster down to just 6 points. And then in the second half, they scored a few long-range tries and kind of eased the way through the rest of the game in a professional manner, did Bradford. I thought Elliot Minchella was really, really good for the Bulls in this game. He was outstanding, in fact. So a player who could do well for them at the next level up next year if they get promoted. A couple of other results to run through, Sarah.
Yeah, Keighley 24, Whitehaven 30, and Newcastle 28, Hunslet 10.
Okay, that means York move top with their big points difference, with Bradford second still. Doncaster fall to third, with Whitehaven who are fourth, behind the Dons on points difference only. Newcastle, Workington and Oldham make up the top half, although Hunslet are 8th on 8 points, with the 3 ahead of them. So it's all very close in the top half of the table. Scholars are 9th, ahead of Keighley, North Wales and Coventry. Hemel and West Wales remain pointless. So yeah, expansion ain't all bad in that division, is it? If the Scholars are ahead of Keighley and North Wales there. Okay. Women's Super League, Sarah.
Yep, so it finished Castleford 40, Bradford 16, Wigan 14, Leeds 20, and St Helens 40, Featherstone 14.
Yeah, I watched the Wigan Leeds game, and both sides were were kind of cancelled each other out a little bit, and it was all about who capitalised the most on the errors that the other team made. And Wigan had a lot of chances to make something happen in the last 20 minutes or so of this game, and didn't do so. The game was cut apart by the Leeds starting fullback. I think her name was Boove. She picked up a kick and went right through the Wigan team and full length of the field. I think she maybe picked up a knock just after that, because she went off, and the girl that replaced her at fullback made a few mistakes for the Rhinos and nearly let the Warriors back into it. But competitive game certainly in that one, and Saints stay top of that division.
Yep.
NRL round 8 then. Do you want to run us through the results from this one, and I'll pick up where any British players had any notable impact?
Yep. Just checking I had the right piece of paper still. Sorry.
Stop shuffling them.
Well, I'm not. I wanted to check that I went onto the back of this page and I didn't need to find another piece of paper. That was what I was doing.
Fair enough.
So it finished the Dragons 24, the Roosters 8.
Yeah, James Graham had 105 metres and Gareth Widdop 2 try assists in this one.
Storm 50, Warriors 10. Oh, sorry. And then the Rabbitohs lost 20 points to 24 to the Broncos.
Yeah, there was no Sam Burgess. I think he was banned, weren't he? But Tom Burgess, 5 tackle busts and 116 metres, and George also played.
Then the Sea Eagles lost 12 points to 18 to Newcastle. And the Panthers were 22-14 winners against the Bulldogs. Then it was a close one in the Titans, finished 9-10 to the Sharks. The Cowboys lost 18-8 against the Raiders.
Yeah, Elliot Whitehead played for the Raiders in this one, a good win for them away from home.
And then another close one where the Eels beat West Tigers 24-22.
Yeah, so all that last one probably was one of the most notable ones on the table. Dragons stay top on 14 points. Panthers and Warriors in second and third, they have 12. The Storm make up the top 4, although West Tigers and Newcastle Knights are with them on 10 points. The Rabbitohs and Roosters fill out the top 8 on 8 points. They're joined by the Sharks and Broncos on 8 points. Raiders and Titans are on 6. Sea Eagles, Bulldogs, Cowboys and last placed Eels, who now have matched all those other 3 sides, they all have 4 points, so it's getting close at the bottom of the table there. Okay, previews and predictions time, Sarah. We'll move on to those.
Yeah.
Right, it's time we get our crystal ball out and look forward to next week in Rugby League. The preview and prediction section is sponsored by Payroll Central, a family-run business based out of Derbyshire who offer an outsourced payroll service for businesses across the UK. Visit payroll-central.co.uk, and if you mention Super League Pod when you contact them, you can get a month's free payroll service and a 10% discount on their normal prices. Right, it's round 14 of Super League that we're moving into, Sarah, and the round kicks off on Thursday night. Sky's game, 7:45 kickoff, is St Helens versus Catalans. So top against now second bottom. How do you see this one going?
I think St Helens will be comfortable winners. I can't see them struggling at all. I've gone 42-16, although I think it could easily actually be more than that.
Yeah, I think something very similar. I've picked 50 points to 10. Whilst Catalans maybe have got something turned around, I just can't see this Saints struggling. Or even if Barber doesn't play, they just slide Lomax in there and it won't look horribly different against a team that's not playing very well. So I've got 50-10 Saints, same sort of thing. Okay, Friday night, Sky's game on Friday is the 7:45 kickoff of Leeds versus Warrington. Now I have this one being quite a close affair. What do you think?
Yeah, I've gone just for a 2-point win by Leeds. I've gone 28-26.
I've gone for the same score, the same winning margin for the Rhinos, but a lower scoring game, 16-14. I think defences will probably be the main part of this game. But I think home field advantage and kind of that's the main reason I'm going for Leeds, because Warrington are in a great run of form, winning lots of games in a row. So it should be a cracking game. I really hope it is a cracking game.
Yeah.
Right, 7:45 on Friday as well over at the John Smiths. It's two of the bottom 4 facing off. Huddersfield versus Widnes. I I came back and forth on this one, I've got to admit, Sarah, and I think I plumped in the end for the fact that the new coach is